a given good is an inferior good, but an inferior good is not necessarily a given good. That is the question. Explain, right? So this is one question lots of students have asked me, right? About even before I start teaching given goods and inferior goods, right? When I start demand law and then I talk about the normal good stuff, they come and ask me, what is this given good? How it's different from inferior good, right? They might have come across it in their school or somewhere else. So let's get into it and clear this doubt completely once and for all. So this is the thing, to know what is a given good, what is an inferior good, how different they are, right? It's not that difficult actually, but we'll dive into it now, right? So to understand or to answer how given goods are inferior good, but not all inferior goods are given goods, first of all, you need to know what is a normal good, what is an inferior good, what is a given good, right? And how these are different from one another, right? That is the main thing you need to know. And let me tell you one thing, this normal good and inferior good, these are the two main types of goods we have to talk about, okay? And these are classified actually based on these products, demands of these products, and how they are related with consumers' income. That is the main determinant that decides whether a product is a normal good or an inferior good, okay? Because normal good means, you might already know this, a normal good is a product, right, for which, if you take the demand of a normal good, right, demand of a normal good is positively related with consumers' income. Because whenever consumer income increases, normal good means the consumers will go and buy more of these products. For normal goods, that's what will happen. That's why generally we call them normal goods, because normally if we get more income, if our income goes up, we go and buy more stuff. If our income goes down, we go and buy less of that particular stuff. That's how normal things work. So they are called normal goods. And inferior good is a good, right, for which whenever consumers income, right, consumers income, whenever it increases, these inferior goods, their demand will drop, because of the name itself. It says inferior good. These goods are inferior in quality, inferior in everything, standard. So people, when their income level goes up, they go and buy less and less of these products, right? That's what an inferior good is. And if you talk about the other way around, when consumers' income drops, then for inferior good, demand will go up. People will start buying these products only when their income drops. But normal goods, when consumers' income drops, they will buy less of it. So this income and demand relationship is the thing that is going to decide whether a product is a normal good or an inferior good. You might have learned this in income elasticity of demand also. When income elasticity of demand is positive, then we call that good a normal good. When it's negative, we call that good an inferior good. So this is what is mainly gonna distinguish a product, as normal good or inferior good. Okay, right. One more thing you need to know that these given goods, right? These given goods are also, when you take a given good, what you see for inferior good will happen, right? When you take the, let's say the consumer's income is increasing, for given goods also the same thing will happen. The demand for given goods will drop, right? And the vice versa is also applicable. That is, when the consumer's income drops, right, then people go and buy more. That happens for given good also, because the reason is given goods are a smaller type within inferior goods, right? That is the actual truth. That's the fact, right? If you take this whole thing as inferior good, right? This blue circle is inferior good. Within that, right? Within that, the smaller, let's say, within that, let's say the small box is your Giffen good. What that means is, if you take a bunch of inferior good, out of that, few can be Giffen goods. Why? Because, right? Why? Because inferior goods and Giffen goods have almost the same feature when it comes to the relationship between demand and income. Demand and income. You see that here, because both have a negative relationship. Both both the products, when it comes to their demand, have a negative relationship with income. Okay, so keep that in your head, because that would be useful in understanding and separating, finding the differences between inferior good and Giffen good. So let's get into this now. Okay, now for a normal good, right? For a normal good, one thing we know is that a normal good has a negative relationship. The demand of a normal good, right? The quantity demanded of a normal good has a negative relationship with price, right? Price and quantity demanded of a normal good both have a negative inverse relationship that we already know. The reason for that are twofold. There are two reasons. One is the substitution effect of a price change, income effect of a price change, right? That is the reason why when price goes up, quantity demanded comes down. When price comes down, quantity demanded goes up. So when we talk about the substitution effect, you might have studied this. For any good, not just normal good, for any good, the substitution effect will be negative. Substitution effect will be negative. That is for any good, right? But the income effect for a normal good would be positive, right? Would be positive. You can even look at this part and say income effect is positive. When income goes up, demand goes up. Income comes down, demand comes down. That is plain simple fact, but we'll be explaining it in a very detailed manner in a bit, right? So that's fine. And also I said for any good, the substitution effect is negative. For inferior good also it's the same thing. For Giffen good is also it's the same thing. Fine. Now, the difference between these normal good and inferior good is in income effect, right? Is in income effect, because for income effect, we established that for a normal good, it's positive. For an inferior good, we know it's negative, right? It's negative. So this is where the difference comes between normal good and an inferior good. Since inferior good and Giffen good are the same, here also it's the same thing. That income effect is negative. Income effect is negative. Keep that in your head. Okay. Right. Now, before we go further into the differences between inferior good and Giffen good, I'll take you through an explanation of what is the substitution effect, what is this income effect, because that is very necessary for you to understand the differences between inferior good and how Giffen goods are significant when it comes to how it's different from inferior good, right? So let's get there. So substitution effect simply means, let's say there is a product, right? There is a product. Let's call it product X. So price of product X, demand of product X. Whenever the price of a product goes up, whenever price of the product goes up, price of product X goes up. Now, what people will first do is they will be like, okay, obviously this product X might have a substitute product, of which the price won't change, because that is one of the assumptions of demand law. So it's not going to change. Then what will happen is, for people who have been buying product X, for them, now this product X, when it's compared to the substitute product, right? Substitute product. This product X is now relatively expensive. The relative price of product X has become a little bit more expensive. Now that's a problem. That's a problem. So what will happen? People who have been buying this product X will now move and buy this product Y. So what will happen? The demand for product Y will go up. Since people have moved from product X to product Y, the demand for product X will come down. So if you have a look here, due to this substitution effect, what has happened? When price increased, quantity demanded came down. But the reason is what? The reason is when the price went up, people went and bought the substitute product more, leaving this particular product, right? So this is the substitution effect. Due to that price increase, due to that price change, people, what happened? People substituted this particular product with another substitute cheaper product. So you see, we see a negative relationship here between these two products demand. We substituted this particular product with another product. Right? This product's demand went down, the other product's demand went up. So that is why we say substitution effect is negative here. This happens for any product, regardless whether it's a normal good, inferior good, or Giffen good. Whenever the price goes up, people will substitute that particular product with another product. So substitution effect, like I said, will be the same for any of these three types of products. Negative all the time. That's fine. Now the special part is this income effect. That is the thing that's gonna differentiate all these three from one another in some way. So income effect works like this. Again, when the price goes up, we assume that substitute products price is not changing. Another assumption is that consumers' nominal income remains constant. And that is another assumption because income is a determinant of demand. Nominal income remains constant. When that happens, when prices of a product goes up and the person's income is constant, what will happen is the consumer's purchasing power, right? Or else we call this real income, purchasing power, right? Not the monetary income, but the real income. Purchasing power means the purchasing ability of the consumer, how much a consumer can buy of a product using their income. That is the purchasing power. What will happen when the price of a product goes up while the income of the consumer is constant, the purchasing power you see will drop. When the purchasing ability of the consumers drop, what's going to happen? The amount of products, the quantity demand of the consumer will also drop. You see that here, right? You see that here. So if you have a look now, since the real income purchasing power came down, the demand for the product came down, right? That is in line with this. When consumers' income, but here we are talking about real income, but it's in line with that. When consumers' income comes down, people are demanding less. So income effect is positive, right? Income effect is positive. When real income comes down, demand comes down. So income effect is positive in this case. You see, both are going in the same direction. But if you net it out now, you can see here price is increasing, right? Price is increasing. So there was only one increase in price, but two effects are happening. One effect is the substitution effect. So you can see here when the price increased, quantity demanded dropped due to substitution effect. At the same time, here again, due to that same price increase, due to income effect also, we are seeing a quantity demand drop. So substitution effect, according to that, when the price went up, quantity demanded came down. When the price went up, based on the income effect also, quantity demanded came down. So these two, when you net it out, when the price goes up, quantity demanded comes down. So that's what a normal good is. Fine. That's what a normal good is. All good. And this is how this explanation I gave would be an explanation, for a question, if they ask you like, what are the reasons for the negative relationship between price and quantity demanded? Or if someone asks you, what are the reasons for the demand law? You can say substitution effect of a price change, income effect of a price change, and the example I gave, you can give. right? Due to the negative substitution effect, due to the positive income effect. That's why we see an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. You can give that as an answer, but using an example would be better. Okay, that's fine. And then if we go to an inferior good, for an inferior good, again, the same thing happens, right? The same thing occurs. Whatever you are saying here, the substitution effect is the same thing, like what I explained for normal good. So here also it's the same thing. When the price goes up, quantity demanded comes down. Why? Because of this, because of the substitution effect that's happening. Right? When the price goes up, people are moving to the substitute product and buying more of it and buying less of this particular product. So that same thing is happening for an inferior good also. So based on based on substitution effect for an inferior good also, when prices go up, quantity demanded comes down. That's fine. Okay. But income effect is what is different now, because we learned that inferior goods are the products people buy when they are buy more when their income comes down, right? Because these are cheap, very cheap inferior goods. So for these inferior goods, what happens is when the prices of these inferior goods go up, what happens? We know that while the nominal income is constant, the purchasing power will drop. When the purchasing power drops, that's when people go and buy more of these products. We established that even in here. If you have a look, people buy more of it when the income drops. That's when people go and buy more of it, right? So that's what's happening here. When prices go up while the nominal income is constant, purchasing power of the consumer drops. So that's when people go and buy more of these products. People go and buy more of these products. Okay, so that's how income effect works, right? Actually, I think I have put the wrong arrow here. When purchasing power comes down, that's when people go and buy more of these products. So the arrow should go up. I have put it wrong. Okay. So when prices go up, purchasing power comes down. So people go and buy more of those products because they can't go and buy any other product, right? These inferior products are the cheaper products. If the prices of these products are going up, people have no other option to go for a better product. They go and buy more of these. Normally, that's how it works. Income effect. So for these income effect, right, we see for an inferior good, income effect is negative, and that is leading to what? That is leading to, if you see the overall situation here, for the price increase, quantity demanded is going up now. For the price increase, quantity demanded is going up now, right? So substitution effect is resulting in quantity demanded coming down. On the other hand, income effect is resulting in quantity demanded going up, right? So now this is where inferior goods stand different from normal goods. This is where inferior goods are different from normal goods. Okay, that's good. Right. So if you net these out, we can't say, with certainty, right? We can't say with certainty whenever for an inferior good price goes up, definitely what will happen to quantity demanded. You can't certainly say it, right? Because you see here, this when price goes up, quantity demanded based on substitution effect is coming down, based on income effect is going up. Now what will decide, right? What will decide, okay, for an inferior good when price goes up, what will happen to quantity demanded is basically out of these two effects, which effect is more influential, right? Which effect outweighs the other, right? Normally, for an example, if let's say substitution effect is greater than the income effect, then we'll see what substitution effect does. The result of it, price goes up. As a result of that, quantity demanded comes down. And if that effect is greater than this income effect, we'll be saying when the price goes up, quantity demanded will come down. On the other hand, if the, let's say, income effect is more prominent, right? Income effect is more prominent, we'll see the other one. right? Because whatever is the result of the income effect will be the one that we see overall, right? But for an inferior good, it doesn't matter how the price change will affect the quantity demand. The only thing that defines an inferior good is this part. For an inferior good, the income effect will be negative. That is enough to define an inferior good, right? We don't have to see out of the substitution effect and income effect, which is greater. It doesn't matter, right? Because the price and the quantity demanded relationship does not define what an inferior good is. In the inferior goods definition does not include that, right? So what will happen to the demand of a product when price goes up or comes down? We can't, specifically correctly say for an inferior good, right? But this is where we have a look at what Giffen good really is, right? Because we established that inferior good and Giffen good are the same thing, right? Almost, because Giffen goods are a type of inferior good. Giffen goods are a type of inferior goods. Okay, a subtype, a smaller portion of inferior good. That's what a Giffen good is. Right here, what's going to happen is, like I said, substitution effect for any good is the same. When the price goes up, right? Let's go with red. When the price goes up, quantity demanded comes down based on substitution effect. That's okay. Income effect, what you see for inferior good, that same thing, negative. So what happens when price goes up? As a result, at the end, we end up with quantity demanded going up, because we see when price goes up, due to income effect being negative, when the real income comes down, quantity demanded goes up. So at the end, when the price goes up, quantity demanded goes up. Same happens for income effect. Fine. Now, up until this point, inferior goods and Giffen goods are the same, right? The difference is for Giffen goods, right? We know another definition. We know another definition that we normally use for Giffen goods, because Giffen goods are used as an example for exceptions to the law of demand. Law of demand is this: price and quantity demanded have an inverse relationship. That's the law of demand. But Giffen goods are used as an example for exceptions to law of demand. As exceptions to law of demands. I think you might remember this, right? In that case, Giffen goods, another definition that we can write is, whenever the price of a product goes up, for a normal good, quantity demanded would come down. But for a Giffen good, quantity demanded goes up. Quantity demanded goes up. And I explained it already. What should happen here for quantity demanded to go up when price goes up? The income effect should be more prominent, because that is the one that will lead to, quantity demand going up when price goes up, because substitution effect will result in quantity demand coming down for an increase in price. So if this happens, if the income effect outsets or outweighs the substitution effect, then we see a positive relationship between price and quantity demanded, right? We will see a positive relationship between price and quantity demanded. And this is how Giffen goods are different from inferior goods, right? For inferior good, substitution effect is negative. Giffen good, substitution effect is negative. For inferior good, income effect is negative. Giffen good, income effect is negative. The difference is, for inferior good, we don't specifically, it's very vague. It's not clear whether substitution effect is more relevant, or, let's say, whether it's more influential or income effect is more influential. Which effect is greater than which one? We don't know. We don't care about it, because the definition of inferior good is defined based on, like I said, the relationship between demand and income. That's enough, right? No need to go and see what's the relationship between price and quantity demanded. It's irrelevant, right? So we don't have to see the prominence out of these two effects, which one is greater, right? It can be like this, or it can be like this, or it can be, both effects can be equal. It doesn't matter, right? For an inferior good. But for a Giffen good, I told you, these are a smaller portion out of these given good, where, sorry, out of these inferior goods, where the income effect outsets the substitution effect. That's what a given good is. That's what a given good is. Okay, so if we have a look at this, for example, let's say price is increasing by 10 rupees for a product. So price increase is 10 rupees. Price is going up by 10 rupees. In substitution effect, let's say due to substitution effect, due to this increase by 10 rupees, due to substitution effect, the quantity demanded is dropping by 20 units, by 20 units. But on the other side, in income effect, when the price goes up by 10 rupees, quantity demanded, let's say, is going up by 25 units. 25 units, right? We are talking about product X here. Right, price of product X is going up by 10 rupees. Substitution effect says, okay, when the price goes up by 10 rupees, demand will come down by 20 units. But income effect here says, when the price goes up by 10 rupees, quantity demand will go up by 25 units. So here you see which one is more prominent, which one is more influential here, which effect has a greater effect, which one has a greater effect here. So we can see that income effect results in a 25 units increase. Substitution effect results in only a 20 unit decrease. So you see here, there is a 5 unit increase net, 20 units drop due to substitution effect, 25 units increase due to income effect. So when the price goes up by 10 rupees, quantity demanded goes up by 5 units. That is how given goods work. That is how given goods work, right? So like I said, the substitution effect and income effect, when you compare them, the income effect is more prominent. The effect is more influential in this case. Effect is bigger, larger. That is the only difference between inferior good and given good. That's how given good becomes a little bit special. But apart from that, given good is an inferior good. Yes, that's why I said given good is just a part of an inferior good, just a part of an inferior good. And because I told you, for a given inferior good, this difference between substitution effect and income effect can be anything. It can be substitution effect can be greater than the income effect. In that case, what will happen is, let's say when the price goes up, due to substitution effect, quantity demanded comes down by 20 units. But in the income effect side, when the price goes up by 10 rupees, quantity demanded goes up, but only by 10 units. In that case, you see, here quantity demanded is going down by 20 units. Here, going up by only 10 units. So if you net it out, when the price increases by 10 rupees, quantity demanded at the end comes down by 10 units. So 20 going down, 10 coming up. So net is 10 decrease. Or else it can be the other way also, what we saw here, right? What we saw in given good. So that's why for an inferior good, it can be either of these, right? It can be either of these. But given good means, I told you, that's why I said given goods are just a smaller portion, a part of inferior good. And that part is this one, this part. That is the given good. When that happens, that's a given good. So that is the only difference between inferior good and given good. So I took all this time, explained what is a normal good, what is an inferior good, given good. So hereafter, I believe you know actually how substitution effect works, income effect works, and also you can differentiate normal good from given good, normal good from inferior good, and also you can differentiate what this question asked, inferior good from given good. So these are all explanations now. When you are going to answer the question, you don't have to write all of these stuff. What you need to write is, you have to just say what is an inferior good, right? Inferior goods, I told you, when there is a negative relationship between consumers' income and demand, that's an inferior good. Keep that. Given good means normally the definition is what? When there is a positive relationship between price and quantity demanded, that's a given good, right? That's fine. And then what you have to write is, for an inferior good, you have to write the substitution effect and income effect will be negative, right? Income effect of price change is negative. substitution effect of a price change is negative. You have to write that. For a given good, you have to write the same thing. Substitution effect is negative, income effect is negative. Fine. But the only difference is, in given good, right? In given good, specifically we know the income effect will outweigh or overpower the substitution effect. That's how we end up with the positive relationship between price and quantity demanded. So that is the only difference. So inferior good, substitution effect and income effect both are negative. For given good also, substitution effect and income effect both are negative. But for inferior good, we don't know, right, which effect overpowers which one. We don't require that to define an inferior good, right? For given good, since it has all those same features, that's why we say all given goods are inferior goods, right? Because all the given goods are included here in this part, right? All the given goods are included there. But when you take an inferior good, apart from this given good part, there's another part also, this one. There's another part also. So that's why we say all given goods are inferior goods, but not all inferior goods are given goods, because this set where the substitution effect overpowers the income effect, those are not given goods. They are still inferior, but those are not given goods. But here, when the income effect overpowers the substitution effect, those are inferior goods. At the same time, they are given goods as well. So that's why we say all given goods are inferior goods, but not all inferior goods are given goods. So again, your answer should be, you have to first say what is an inferior good, what is a given good. Then you have to say, for an inferior good, substitution effect is negative, income effect is negative, but which effect overpowers which effect, it doesn't matter, it's not clear, right? Right. Sometimes substitution effect can be greater than the income effect. In that case, you'll end up with something like this: price going up, quantity demanded coming down. Or sometimes you can end up with this also, right? Where income effect overpowers the substitution effect. In that case, you'll end up with what do you call a given good scenario, where we see a positive relationship between price and quantity demanded. So for inferior good, that which one overpowers which effect is not clear. It's vague. It's not defined, right? It can be any way around. But for a given good, it's specific. Substitution effect is negative, income effect is negative, and income effect overpowers the substitution effect. That is where it's special. So that's how your answer should be also. You have to show that particular point where given goods, even though the substitution effect and income effect are negative, just like an inferior good, here especially income effect is greater than the substitution effect. That's where given goods, that's why we say all given goods are inferior goods, but not all inferior goods are given goods. Okay, hope you all understood this whole thing, right? And if you have any more doubts, you can ask me in the comments, or else you can just message me and ask me to clear your doubts. Hope this explains this whole confusing question. It took a lot of time, yes, but the answer is very simple. You see, at the end, the answer, it takes only a minute or two to write, but the explanation has a lot of background things you need to know. That's why I made this video, so that things will be clear to you all, completely. Hope you all understood everything. See you all with another question in another video. Have a nice day.